Yeah, I hate to tell you, but I won't fit in your box. I know you wanna know, but you cannot pick my locks. See, you a part of me, like New York is to the Bronx. And everything is everything, we do not need to box. Cause I could stick and move, I am focused like a soldier. And you've been in my way, heavy like a boulder. And everybody's scared of death and getting older. When you release your fear, come cry on my shoulder. Cause finally the earth's come around. Use a new part of your brain, make a new sound. All we want is love, it's making our heart pound. The new children are here, they are coming out the ground. Stop medicating them, their power will abound. Now please just gather round, the pitch is at the mound. Catch my words, don't clown, you know you like my sound. Now give your girl a pound or a hug would mean you're down. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be your soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be your soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. Down as the four rivers, the waters they will heal. I will lift my hands up to the sky and make it real. My brothers and my sisters, you will see how I feel. I will give you $1 to listen. Baby, let's make a deal. No, you can't buy me, don't even try me. In fact, unleash your lasso and please untie me. I'm done with the cowboys, they do not excite me. Don't need your opinion, please don't indict me. I won't do your homework, do not assign me. The universe will teach you what science is finding. Open up your chakra, your aura could be blinding. Grab some rose quartz and start reminding. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be your soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be a soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. I am a writing machine and this is my weapon. Fighting with my mouth, peace I will be repping. We're all contradictions, stop your suggesting. The righteous do not judge cause they know it's projecting. And just cause I say it's the age of feminine doesn't mean that I am not down for a man. We all need some yang, get that dick about your head. Cause there are mad women who are too masculine. And yes, I know that I do not sound Caucasian, but sorry, this is how it comes out like the days in. My soul is here for some consciousness raising. Stop all your labeling, I'm Kelly, amazing. And I'm not concerned with which God you're praising or what herb you're blazing. Your light shines, it stays in, and now the bridge fades in. And now the bridge fades in. La-dee-da-da-da-da-day. You can light your own way. La-dee-da-da-da-da-day. Today could be your day. La-dee-da-da-da-da-day. I will be lighting my own way. La-dee-da-da-da-da-day. Today is my day. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be a soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be a soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be a soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be a soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry. And with the power of Isis, I will speak to your third eye. I'll be a soldier in crisis, I will lick your cheek when you cry.
Welcome back, everyone. It's that magical week between Christmas and New Year's, you know?
Yeah.
The air is practically buzzing with possibility. We're all kind of basking in that holiday glow, but we're diving into a different kind of magic today. The kind that's woven into the very fabric of our reality.
The magic of words.
Exactly. The magic of words.
And what's fascinating is that most people are walking around casting spells every single day and they don't even realize it.
Okay, hold on. Gotta stop you right there. Spells.
Really?
I'm picturing wands and cauldrons. Not exactly Tuesday morning small talk.
I know, right? It sounds kind of out there, but think about it. Every sentence, every text, every casual conversation, it's all brimming with this unseen power.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I need you to break this down for me. Because I'm still stuck on the whole spells thing.
All right, let's go back to the very beginning. The dawn of human communication.
Okay, way back.
Some of our sources suggest that early humans were essentially telepathic.
Telepathic, like full-on Professor X mind reading.
It wasn't quite like that. More like a constant flow of pure energy and intention. Minds effortlessly connected,
Wow, okay. So if we were all vibing on this telepathic level, why did we even need words? What prompted that upgrade?
Imagine trying to have a nuanced conversation telepathically with a room full of people.
Oh, man. Yeah, that would be a mess.
Chaos. As communities grew larger, that direct mind-to-mind connection started to get muddled.
Right. Too much crosstalk.
Exactly. Language, specifically spoken words, emerged as a way to bring clarity and precision to our thoughts and emotions. It was like creating a system of channels for all that energy and intention.
So words were like the first software update for human communication, a
Yeah.
way to streamline things.
Precisely. But here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just a practical shift. It marked a transition from subtle energy transmission to the more structured magic of spoken and written spells.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. But help me bridge the gap here. How can simple words be considered spells?
Words are not just arbitrary symbols, they're vessels of energy, vibrating with the intent of the speaker.
So you're saying there's actual power in the sounds we make?
Absolutely. A kind word can genuinely lift someone's spirits, while a harsh word can leave a lasting wound. Think about it. We've all felt the impact of words to uplift or to wound.
Yeah. You know what's funny? We tell kids, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Right. But we all know that's not true. Words have a huge impact.
They really do. And it's not just about the big dramatic pronouncements either.
Exactly. What about the subtle spellcasting we do through wordplay? A well-placed pun, a clever metaphor. These can shift someone's entire perspective.
So Shakespeare, with his mastery of wordplay, was basically a master spellcaster.
Absolutely. Every time we use language creatively, we're shaping energy and influencing our reality, even if we don't realize it.
Wow. This is definitely making me rethink my vocabulary choices.
It's all about awareness, which is what we're talking about today.
Right. So if words have this inherent power, what happens when the meanings of those words start to change? Because language is constantly evolving, right? It's not like a dictionary from 100 years ago would make much sense today.
That's a really important point. Words are not static. Their meanings shift and evolve over time, influenced by cultural and societal changes.
And that can have some pretty significant consequences for our spellcasting.
Whether we intend it or not.
Wait, you're saying I could be accidentally cursing people with my outdated vocabulary?
Maybe not cursing, but definitely sending out unintended energy. It all comes back to that lack of awareness we talked about at the beginning. Most people just aren't tuned into the deeper implications of the words they're using.
Okay, unintended consequences are one thing. But is there also a more deliberate, manipulative side to this evolution of language? Because sometimes it feels like words are being weaponized, like people are intentionally twisting meanings to control a narrative or push an agenda.
That's a very astute observation. Changing the meaning of words can go beyond pure linguistic evolution. It can be a deliberate attempt to alter reality itself, and that can get really tricky.
Now we're getting into some deep magic territory. So how does this manipulation actually happen? Who decides what words mean and how they should be used?
It's a complex interplay of cultural shifts, political and social forces, and even the influence of media and technology. New issues arise, movements gain momentum, values change, and language adapts to reflect those shifts. But those shifts aren't always organic or innocent.
So it's not just about language evolving naturally, it's also about people intentionally shaping it to fit their own purposes.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be aware of these dynamics, to understand the power of language and to use it wisely.
Can you give us an example of a word that's gone through this kind of deliberate transformation, something that's particularly relevant today?
A particularly potent example in contemporary language is the word woke. It started simply meaning awake and alert, both literally and figuratively, but then it took on a much deeper meaning within certain communities.
Right. Like back in the day, you might have said, man, I'm so tired, I can barely stay woke. It was just slang.
Yes, and that's part of how language shifts happen. But woke also has a deeper history. In the mid-20th century, it started to take on a more specific meaning within African-American communities. It signified a heightened awareness of social injustices and racial inequalities. Being woke meant being vigilant and informed about these issues, ready to challenge the status quo.
So it was like a call to action, a way of saying, we're not going to be asleep to injustice anymore.
Exactly. But here's where the manipulation comes in. In recent years, woke has been co-opted and redefined by various political and social groups, often with the intent to either discredit or to inflame.
So depending on who's using it, woke can carry very different energy and can even be used as a weapon.
Yes. It's a prime example of how language can be used to control narratives, reshape perceptions, and ultimately influence behavior. And many people using it have no idea about the historical context.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. It's like we're all playing this giant game of linguistic chess without even knowing the rules. What other examples of these subtle shifts in language should we be aware of? Are there other words that have been weaponized, like woke?
Let's consider the terms disabled and handicapped. The SSA defines disabled as an inability to engage in substantial gainful activity due to a medically determinable physical or mental impairment. However, the term handicapped often implies a disadvantage imposed by society rather than just the impairment itself.
So disabled focuses on the individual's condition, while handicapped suggests external barriers that make it harder to participate in society. It's like one is about the person and the other is about how the world treats them.
Exactly. It's a subtle but impactful difference that highlights the power of language to shape perceptions of ability and access to support.
I'm starting to see how even small shifts in wording can have big consequences. Is this also tied to the whole equality versus equity debate? Because those two words seem to get thrown around a lot these days without a clear understanding of what they truly mean.
Absolutely. The idea that everyone should end up equal is frankly a misunderstanding of both terms. True fairness lies in ensuring everyone starts with equal opportunities, acknowledging that not all individuals start from the same place.
So instead of striving for everyone to be the same at the finish line, we should be focused on leveling the playing field from the start. Otherwise, the race is rigged from the get-go.
Precisely. Our sources use a fascinating analogy from the world of horse racing. Handicaps are assigned to horses based on their past performances to create a more even competition.
Wait, so the faster horses are given a disadvantage to give the slower horses a better chance? That seems counterintuitive.
In a sense, yes, it might seem counterintuitive, but it's actually about recognizing differences and providing support to make the race more equitable. It's not about punishing the strong, it's about giving everyone a fair shot.
So bringing it back to humans, this would be like acknowledging that someone who grew up in poverty might need additional support to have the same opportunities as someone from a wealthy family. Or that someone with a disability might need accommodations to be able to fully participate in the workforce.
Exactly. By providing the right support from the outset, we can create a fairer system without generating unintended inequalities. It's a delicate balance, a nuanced concept that emphasizes the importance of choosing our words carefully to accurately reflect these complexities.
This is making me think about the different systems we have in place to try and create order and fairness in the world. We have laws, rules, regulations. Is there a connection between those systems and this idea of language as a form of spellcasting? Are we trying to spell a better world into existence?
That's a very insightful connection. Our sources actually touch upon this by introducing the concepts of man's law and God's law.
Okay, color me intrigued. What's the difference?
Man's law, as you pointed out, is all about codified rules and regulations. It attempts to govern behavior and maintain order through a complex web of statutes and guidelines.
Right, like thou shalt not steal or drive on the right side of the road. It's about keeping things running smoothly.
Exactly. But man's law, no matter how comprehensive, can't fully govern morality or personal ethics.
So man's law is all about external control, while God's law is more about internal principles, like a moral compass that guides us, even when no one's watching.
You could put it that way. God's law, as our sources describe it, is about universal truths of justice, compassion, and truth. These are not codified in books, but rather understood as inherent principles that apply to all realms. They're the foundations of a just and harmonious society.
Okay, I see the parallel to language here. Just as laws provide a framework for how we're supposed to behave in society, language gives us a framework for how to think and communicate. They both shape our reality in profound ways.
Exactly. And just as there's debate about the most effective and just ways to govern society, there's ongoing evolution and sometimes even manipulation in how language shapes our thoughts and perceptions. We have to be vigilant about both.
This is making me think about the concept of anarchy. It's often portrayed as chaos and lawlessness, but is there a deeper connection to language and this idea of self-governance? Like, maybe anarchy is less about burning everything down and more about building something better from the ground up?
Our sources address this very misconception. They argue that anarchy is not about the absence of rules, but rather the absence of rulers. It advocates for self-governance, where individuals are guided by their own internal compass and communal agreements, rather than external authorities.
So in an anarchist society, would there even be a need for codified laws? Would it just be everyone doing their own thing, hoping for the best?
That's a big question that sparked countless debates and philosophical explorations. But the key takeaway is that anarchy places the responsibility for ethical behavior on the individual, rather than relying on external enforcement. It's about trusting people to do the right thing, not because they're forced to, but because they understand it's the best way to create a harmonious society.
That's a pretty radical idea,
Yeah.
but I can see how it connects to language. Are you saying language itself is inherently anarchic?
In a sense, yes. Think about it. The meanings of words are constantly evolving, being shaped by the people who use them. There's no central authority dictating what words should mean or how they should be used. It's a constantly shifting landscape.
I like that. It's like language is this living, breathing organism constantly adapting to the environment. And we're all participants in this grand experiment, whether we realize it or not. We're all shaping the language we use and in turn being shaped by it.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to become aware of the power we hold as speakers and writers. We're all contributing to the evolution of language and, in a way, shaping the reality we inhabit. It's a responsibility we should take seriously.
Okay, we've talked about a lot of serious topics. Can we lighten things up a bit with a more playful example of how language can be subverted and redefined? Something a little less heavy than woke and anarchy.
Our sources actually provide a rather colorful example, one that might be considered a bit risque, but perfectly illustrates the point.
Bring it on. Our listeners can handle it. I'm all ears.
All right, let's talk about the term bottom bitch.
Okay. No, I'm really intrigued.
Now, at first glance, this term might seem derogatory, but it's important to understand it within its specific cultural context. In certain subcultures, particularly those involving hierarchical structures and power dynamics, the bottom bitch actually holds a position of significant influence.
Wait, so it's like the opposite of what it sounds like. She's not at the bottom of the pecking order.
Yeah, exactly. The bottom bitch is often the most trusted and experienced in the group, responsible for managing others and maintaining order. It's a fascinating example of how language can be subverted and redefined within specific contexts.
So even slang terms, which often feel like they're outside the rules of formal language, are still subject to these power dynamics and shifts in meaning. They still have their own kind of magic.
Absolutely. Language is a reflection of the society that uses it, and it's constantly evolving to meet the needs of those who speak it. Slang is no exception. It's a way to create a sense of belonging, to express oneself creatively, and sometimes even to challenge the status quo.
This is making me think about how important it is to understand the context of a conversation. You can't just take words at face value. You have to consider the speaker, the audience, the cultural backdrop. It's like deciphering a code.
Precisely. Just as the spellcaster carefully considers the ingredients and incantations for a particular spell, we should be mindful of the words we choose and the impact they might have on those around us. Every word is a potential spell waiting to be cast.
So where does all this leave us? We've explored how words are like spells, how their meanings evolve, how we might be unintentionally manifesting things with our casual conversations. It's like realizing you've been speaking a magical language your whole life without knowing it.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And this isn't about becoming paranoid about every word that comes out of our mouths. It's about cultivating awareness. It's about recognizing the power and the responsibility that comes with language.
So what can we do with this newfound awareness? How do we become more conscious spellcasters, so to speak? Do we need to start meditating on the dictionary?
It starts with paying attention. Notice the words you use habitually. Ask yourself, what are the underlying assumptions baked into these words? Are those assumptions still serving me? Are they aligned with the reality I want to create for myself and the world around me?
That's a great point. It's like taking inventory of our linguistic toolbox, seeing which tools are still sharp and which ones need to be replaced or refined.
Exactly. And as we become more aware of our own language patterns, we can start to expand our vocabulary, explore new ways of expressing ourselves, and even challenge the dominant narratives that we might be unconsciously perpetuating.
I love that. Reclaiming our power as communicators, right? It's about using language as a force for good, for creation, for positive change. If words are spells, then let's make sure we're casting some good ones.
Precisely. Imagine the world we could create if we all approached language with this level of intention and awareness. If we treated our words as the potent spells they truly are.
That's a beautiful vision. It's something worth striving for, even if we stumble along the way. And hey, speaking of stumbling, let's be real. We're all going to mess up sometimes. We're going to say the wrong thing, use a word carelessly, misinterpret someone's intent. It's part of being human.
Absolutely. We're not aiming for perfection here. It's an ongoing journey of learning and growth.
Well said. And I think that's a perfect place to wrap up this deep dive into the magic of language. From the origins of language to the evolution of words to the power we hold as speakers and writers, it's been quite a journey.
You know what? I think there's a reason I call it spelling. There's real magic in these words we use.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just the beginning. The more we explore this topic, the more layers of meaning we uncover. There are countless other examples of how language shapes our reality waiting to be discovered.
So for all of you listening out there, we want to hear your thoughts. What words or phrases have you noticed changing meaning recently? How has this changed how you see language? Share your insights in the comments and let's keep this conversation going. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. The more we spread awareness about the power of language, the more we can all become conscious and intentional spellcasters, creating a more positive and meaningful reality for ourselves and for the world.
Until next time, may your words be filled with magic and intention. Happy New Year, everyone!